My name is Christopher Marinello. I'm from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I live in Alto Mayor.
We first want to thank all of you for coming, not only to our presentation, but for coming back to the country to support us, and we're glad that you guys are here. Okay, so just some numbers, you guys. Right now we have 23 health volunteers, and we have a Health Peace Corps volunteer leader who is here with us today. And these are the provinces where there are health volunteers, and the map shows all of us. Okay, so these are just some things that health volunteers do. The majority of us have Escojo Mi Vida and Hogares Saludables groups, which we will explain more about in a little bit. Some volunteers do latrine projects. Other volunteers do improved cook stove projects. We do everything from filters, libraries to gardens. Nowadays, a lot of the projects that we do are cross-sectoral, so it's really nice to not have limits to what we can do, and a lot of it depends on the needs of our community. Okay, so Escojo Mi Vida. Let's see if any of you aren't too rusty in their Spanish, and they can tell us what Escojo Mi Vida means in English. Anybody willing to try? Yes, perfect. I choose my life. So Escojo Mi Vida is a youth initiative that was started to expand HIV/AIDS prevention and also to reduce the number of teenage pregnancy. Nowadays, the majority of health volunteers work with Escojo Mi Vida or have a youth group in their community where we do HIV/AIDS education. We also do a lot of life skills education and healthy decision making, and goal-oriented education. So Escojo Mi Vida doesn't just promote sexual education and HIV/AIDS prevention, but also focuses on healthy lifestyles in general. And volunteers and regional coordinators, which are Dominicans that volunteer and train, will train a youth group in the different areas of Escojo Mi Vida, which are HIV/AIDS. We also do family planning, and we do self-esteem and other life skills. These are some pictures of our we have volunteers and also our regional coordinator and some other multiplicadores, which we call our trained youth. So once they have been part of a youth group training class and they graduate and show that they have the skills and that they have the information to train another group, we call them multiplicadores or multipliers. So their job is to multiply the information that they have learned to other youth and to other people in their community. The main goal of Escojo is for more Dominican youth to make healthier decisions in their sexual life and in general. So we focus mainly on rural communities and bateys, but now we have been expanding to cities. These are the ways that we are able to measure that this goal is being completed. And so our first objective is to train youth so that they are health promoters in their communities, or they're promoting healthy lifestyles. And our second is for the youth to orient other teenagers in the community in HIV/AIDS and STI prevention and adolescent pregnancy. So where is Escojo Mi Vida today? Escojo has expanded from not just rural communities, but to also marginalized urban communities. So bateys and also city barrios. And our objectives have increased a lot since it first started in 2004. And apart from orienting just other youth in the community, these groups are also doing community development projects. So a lot of them will do murals. They will also just raise funds in their community to whether or not they want to do sports or whether or not they want to like just improve the living situation in their community. So as of 2012, we had about, this number is a little bit different, it's about 220 Escojo groups in the country. There are about 4,000 youth educators, so these are the Dominican teenagers that have taken a part of the training course, and 78 regional coordinators that have been trained by volunteers, and 21 current volunteers in the Escojo groups. But it's about 21 because not only do health volunteers have Escojo groups, but a lot of other volunteers in different sectors also do. So youth volunteers, AT volunteers, to education volunteers. Because it's something that, as we know, isn't just affecting our communities, but they're problems that are existing everywhere. These are examples of some activities that Escojo groups do. So almost all, divided up by region, we celebrate World AIDS Day. And Sarah will talk a little more about World AIDS Day, but we also do Escojo group exchanges. So this is something that's been it's a pretty popular activity because our teenagers, our Escojo members, it motivates them, and they see that there are other Dominican teenagers that are also a part of these groups. And it's also really great because I live on the border, so maybe a group that I have in my community will get a chance to go to a Pate or to another Escojo group in the city, and they get to see the difference in culture just within the country. So we also do charlas at schools, we do charlas, we give charlas to different community groups, and another big activity that Escojo groups do is they form new Escojo groups within their communities and within surrounding communities. They also participate in trainings or conferences that Peace Corps gives throughout the year. And they're divided by regional and also national conferences. And they do a lot of fundraising activities, which is something that Chris will talk about a little bit. Great.
I got a little lost on the way back, so I'm going to do a little brief introduction. My name is Sarah. I'm from Columbia, Maryland originally. And my site now is in a campo outside of San Juan de la Maguana in the south. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here with you guys to talk about what our sector is doing. And I really deeply appreciate all of you here to support us. Okay, so one of the main activities that we do that involves both Escojo Mi Vida, the youth groups, and also our health promoters, is World AIDS Day. This year we have had 3 main World AIDS Day events. One in Santiago for the north, in the east it was in La Romana, and in the south we had one in San Juan. So you'll see some random little items that we have back there in the table, and also this was from our San Juan World AIDS Day to explain a little about it. Okay, so what is HIV/AIDS like in the DR today? So the prevalence rate is 0.8%, which may not seem that high. We really pride ourselves on the continuing prevention efforts that we do to maintain this low HIV/AIDS rate. About 20 years ago, the DR was projected to have the same AIDS rate as Malawi does now, and as you can see, it's not anywhere near that. So we're really proud to be in this fight against AIDS to keep the HIV/AIDS rate at a relatively stable rate in this country. Okay, so December 1st is World AIDS Day. Some typical events that we do are marches, home visits. We have everyone giving the charlas about HIV, how to prevent it. And we focus on HIV/AIDS prevention, but also a big focus is stigma, is kind of reducing any stigma and how you would interact with people with AIDS or who have been affected by HIV/AIDS. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead. So how do we address HIV prevention? We have the typical ABCs of HIV, which is A, abstinencia, don't have sex, B, bien seguro, one partner, and C, condones, usar condones. All right, so we're going to do a little practice here of how we do our march through the HIV/AIDS. So I'm going to be the leader, and I'm going to say ah, and you guys have to say abstinencia. When I say B, you got to say bien seguro. We say condones. All right? Are you ready? Ah! Okay, so this is a method that we use in the youth groups and also in the health promotion to prevent HIV/AIDS. Okay, so the Santiago event was run by Miss Elena Barlova-Key. You can raise your hand. Our wonderful health PCV. They worked with the Ministry of Public Health, conducted over 200 house-to-house visits in various communities within the city. They encouraged pregnant women to get HIV tested. And there was a team of their Escojo Mi Vida youth groups that taught HIV themes to different students in schools. So they gave those charlas in the schools, which is also something that we're really working towards, is getting our initiatives into the school curriculum. So these are some photos of youth going house to house and doing these visits in the schools. Okay, so our East initiative was in Villahermosa and La Romana. In this event, different Escojo groups from all over the East came together. They did a march throughout the city, presented in a school, they painted murals, did a candlelight vigil, and did activities related to Deportes para la Vida, which is associated with grassroots soccer. It's now a worldwide initiative, and Peace Corps is taking that on. So these are some photos of the event in the East. So you'll see the mural that was painted. Yeah. Okay. In a previous year in Puerto Plata, one of our volunteers, Jonathan, was able to give an Escojo Mi Vida talk on a cable channel 10, which is pretty exciting for all the kids and for us as well. And the initiative that we did in the South, in San Juan, we collaborated in advance with the Ministry of Public Health, Fly International, Red Cross, and local schools. We did a march through the city, and in the park where we ended our march, we had free HIV tests, a big white sheet that people came up, mostly children, traced their hand and wrote why they were putting their handprint there. So you can come up here after, and if your Spanish is not too rusty, you can read all the messages that the kids wrote. So these are photos. Mr. Josue Lopez gave an excellent speech. Okay. So those are some of the World AIDS Day events that we do. They're great fun. It's a great way to raise awareness. It's a good time all around. You guys should check it out next December 1st. Okay, so our other key initiative besides Escojo Mi Vida for the youth is Hogares Saludables. Hogares Saludables, what does that mean, guys? Yeah, all right. Spanish is not too rusty. So this is our initiative where we work with the health promoters. So basically right now we have 110 active Hogares Saludables groups that are trained by current health promoters, and 220 health promoters that have graduated as capacitated, trained health promoters. So basically the goal of this is to combat maternal mortality, infant mortality, teen pregnancy, and HIV/AIDS in marginalized populations. That's in the urban and also the Campo area. So the Hogares Saludables model. Community health promoters are not anything new, but I think they're always relevant. Whenever you get health promoters at the community level, neighbors, people that you know, talking about problems that they know about, they're not a foreigner, talking in the local language, I think that's when you really make a huge impact on family health, individual health, community health. So basically there's a few steps to this. The first one is that the volunteer will train the health promoters. And so there's a trainer of trainer model. The volunteer can train the health promoter leaders, and then those health promoters will go out and train their own groups. The other option is that the volunteer will actually do his or her own training for the community health promoter. Okay, maybe that doesn't make sense. So there's the training of trainers. So the volunteers can actually go out and train the coordinators, who will then go out and train the health promoters. Or also, we can be the trainers and train the actual health promoters. Is that clear? Okay. So after about 5-6 months of in-depth training, talking about a lot of various things, we're talking about hygiene here, HIV prevention, we're talking about preventing pregnancies, preventing cholera, everything that is an issue in these communities. After these the health promoters have received all this training, they actually go out and go into the communities, have their assigned houses, and do their house-to-house visits and promote this health. So for a lot of the volunteers right now, we're moving into the second phase, which is actually having the health promoters do their visits. They're already trained, now they're doing the visits. Now we're moving into the exciting part. Okay, so but it's more than just home visits, and it's more than just training the individual health promoters. We have presentations in homes and schools. If a medical mission comes to these communities, the Hogar Saladas women are giving presentations. They're out there actually presenting this information. Also specialty trainings, first aid trainings, blood pressure trainings, how to make a oral rehydration solution. All of these things are already in our curriculum, and we're training these health promoters on how to accurately do this. So we also do a lot of income generation activities, which Chris will elaborate on later. A lot of marches, whether it's for World AIDS Day, International Women's Day. It's a great way, we found, in this culture to really raise awareness, is getting people excited about issues, have a march through the community. And I really enjoy it personally. We support any type of community health campaign, and also we really promote intercambios, so social exchanges between different groups of health. Okay, so that is. So these are some photos from various groups, various training. This is a llave casero, which is used to wash your hands in communities where there's little access to water. Take blood pressure. This is a hygiene promotion. Income generation here at the bottom. They're learning how to make juice. Okay, I'm going to pass it over to Chris.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Are the promoters volunteers?
Yes, they are volunteers. We found various ways to motivate them, to make little incentives. One of them is income generation, which Chris is going to talk about. So, you know, if also, we give little community recognition. We found that even giving them like a name tag that says health promoters with the name on it, that actually goes pretty far. Gives them recognition within the community. Yeah.
Well, I just mentioned something that in our community, a group came up of youth and put on a program for HIV. It was one of the best programs we had. Everyone showed up. Everyone was excited. And they gave a wonderful dramatization about our program, and everyone really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
On the HIV. So I guess they do a fine job.
Yeah. Great. That's really great to hear. That's what we hope to hear.
Do you have any outcomes measurement? Another question is, how does the church feel about it?
Okay, I'll answer the church. And I can only speak to my personal experience about this. But I have been really pleasant. I've been happy about the support received by the church, and at least my personal anecdotal experience. A mass was part of my World AIDS Day event. We asked that the people leave their condoms outside, obviously be respectful, but they were invited to speak about HIV inside. Yeah. So I actually, personally, I don't know about some of the other health volunteers, but I have encountered no resistance and actually a bit of support from the church. Measurable outcomes. This is what we are currently working on now. This is a big push. So we basically right now are creating networks. So you'll see in the back, you can look after, we have a map of all the health volunteers we have in the country, their number of Hogar Saladas and Escojo groups. One of our biggest pushes right now is evaluation, monitoring. How many groups do we have? How many health promoters do we have graduated? Miguel, if you'd like to speak about the recent Escojo Mi Vida evaluation.
Sure. Very recently, that was about 4 weeks ago, we conduct like a quick assessment of what is going on in terms of knowledge gain at Escojo. So we asked one of our volunteers to take a lead on this. She was assisted by 3 other health volunteers, and we took a sample of 50 youth. We have different key players there. We have regional coordinators, we have group leaders, and also we have group members. And we select as an indicator what is called comprehensive knowledge about AIDS. And we compare our results with the last study that was done by the Health and Demographic Survey done in 2007. And the results came in the following way. Our kids know more than the double of the national average. And it varies. The national average, it's about 37% of people that know about the comprehensive knowledge. And in the case of group leaders, they were 88%. The regional coordinators were close to 70, and the group members were like 67. So we have very, and you know, and one of the questions, you know, we didn't get a consensus about if they were answering right or wrong because of the way it was made. But overall, what this study is telling us that the work that the volunteers are doing in the field are making a huge change in terms of the knowledge level of the people that they are training to. So this is the first thing that we have done, and hopefully in the future we are going to be taking a look to behavior change.
Great. I would like to add also that any of the groups that we have, once they graduate as multipliers for the youth group or health promoters, they are evaluated before they can officially go out and multiply that information. That's across the board evaluations.
Excuse me, I mentioned the volunteers, but I also have to add Josue Lopez, who is our Escojo National Coordinator. He was a person that was trained by volunteers. He was a group leader. He was a regional coordinator, and now he's our national Escojo coordinator. Levántate, José.
Okay, with that, I'll pass it on to Chris.
Well, we're going to talk about gardening and income generation right now. When you all swore in as volunteers, who had the mythical idea in their head that I'm going to be eating papaya and I'm going to be inundated with fresh fruits and it's going to be wonderful vitamins and minerals? Who had that idea when they read what Peace Corps said about this wonderful staples of the Dominican diet? And then when we got to our site, we got our first bowl of rice and spaghetti. Carbohydrates with carbohydrates. That is a balanced meal right there. It's difficult to think how an agriculturist can supply his family with food, not only, but also with income. We know that in the United States it's tremendously difficult for agriculturalists to support their family. It almost doesn't, it's very, very difficult. So imagine how it is in a developing country. Everybody remembers going with their host father to the Panuco. If you ever went with your host father to the Panuco, plantains and rulo and all of these wonderful starchy roots and yucca. These are problems more than anything because when you have a diet that heavily subsists on starches and carbohydrates, you are opening yourself up for anemia because of lacking of vitamins and minerals. You are protein deficiencies, malnutrition, all of these events come in. And our our answer to that is community gardens. I don't necessarily have a green thumb. It's, I guess, more of a teal thumb. That is my community garden that I helped. We planted tomatoes in front of the school. As you can see here, vitamin and mineral deficiency by UNICEF said hidden hunger is a problem. You can't see vitamin and mineral deficiency always in the face, like HIV. You say HIV, you can't tell by someone's face if they are HIV positive. There are indicators most definitely for malnutrition. You can see that. However, it's a problem, and it doesn't surface as much because you don't have education for nutrition education. With Hogares Saludables and Escojo, we are working towards Escojo Mi Vida, I choose my life. Not only sexual decisions and self-esteem, but also my health. If our bodies are temples, we have to take care of them. This is what we have, and these are what we are teaching our youth, that not only do they have to make healthy sexual decisions, but they also have to make healthy decisions when it comes to how to alimentarse, how to eat, right? This picture right here is actually, I just want to pause for 1 second. We are working with income generation in gardens. This plot of land right here was Chinola, 110% Chinola. Passion fruit, yes, passion fruit, thank you. And there is a market for passion fruit. However, it's not enough to sustain a family on growing passion fruit alone. This land right here has been, all of this right here, has verduras, tomatoes, cilantro, ajicito, little peppers, and things that have vitamins and minerals for the family, as well as selling it within the community to better the health and nutrition of the community as a whole. So these are our initiatives with community gardens. I know I've had success. Sarah has had success with her community gardening. Beck, I believe, has as well. This is a great opportunity of teaching by example. We are out there. I know my teal thumb isn't the best, but I am out there with my youth, and we're planting, we're cultivating, we're showing them that, hey, you know what? We know that Dominicans we can throw a seed in the ground and anything will grow. It is wonderful. They have a knowledge of agriculture that surpasses, there aren't even words. And if we can harness that in a productive manner, I feel that this is a great opportunity, not only nutritionally, because we are health volunteers, but also economically, because, oh, sorry, I got ahead of myself with nutrition. That devilish fellow right there, cooking with those women in his house. We make breads. We use hojas verdes, which are green leaves. The leaves of oyama, which is pumpkin. The leaves of yuca, the Taniaca the starchy root. We use these leaves, which have more nutritional value than the root of abajo, the product itself. The vitamin and mineral content of these leaves are phenomenal, and then you gloss over them. One aside for yuca. Everybody remembers the Tainos, the Taino Indians. When the Spanish conquistadors came to the island, the Taino Indians used the yuca leaf and ate them raw in order to commit suicide because they contain cyanide, the leaves of yuca. So it is important to boil the yuca leaves before you ingest them. That is very important. Yes, ma'am.
When I was here, it's a southern taste, but we tried to introduce okra.
Okra, most certainly.
Did it catch on?
It does. Okra is fantastic. Talking about southern taste, I'd like to try one. Okra, most certainly. These products are grown easily in the Pamuco. The family doesn't have to put much effort into it, and they can reap the rewards of healthier family. Because we know learning anything is difficult, something new.
However, changing your mode of agriculturalism is so difficult. Difficult to no end. Here is the cilantro growing in the raised beds, which we teach the community members, instead of just making your bed and throwing your seeds in and growing, you triple dig, you dig back and you dig back and you grow, you take the layers back and you put them back in an order which you can get the micronutrients in the soil so the plants will grow better. So those are our raised bed gardens. Go ahead. The education. Go ahead. The education. This is an interesting number by UNICEF that showed 9.4% of children whose parents, principally their mothers, have a lower chronic malnutrition rate, 9.4%. Our work with Hogares Saludables is showing us that malnutrition, child malnutrition, millennium goal number 4, in which we are trying so hard to fight against, works with the mother. If you start with nutrition from day one with a mother, you hammer home breastfeeding, eating right after you're pregnant, while you're pregnant. All of these things take root, and they are more likely to teach their children how these are better ways to live. High blood pressure, diabetes. These are problems. People walk around my community, and I'm like, "How are you today?" And they're like, "You see them? How's that?" And their leg is like huge, swollen because diabetes. The sugar. Who doesn't love some sugar? But when you have molasses coming out of your coffee cup, that's a problem. So we work with it. We work with nutrition. These are real life. These are visible things that we have to work with. Yes, giving information is one thing, most definitely. Behavior change. We talk about behavior change. How do we measure the behavior change? We can see with this when the community members come to the community garden and they harvest the products that we have. We are hoping they are eating them. I don't know why else they would be taking them, but that is a measure we can see. We also weigh babies. We weigh infants to make sure we chart the growth, to make sure that everything is going along. We work with local clinics as well. Economic opportunities. Aaron Williams said today that there's a little key phrase. What is it? Cultural agility, right? Was that what he said today? Yeah. Well, we have the wonderful key phrase of sustainability, right? Isn't that what we strive for? Not only project sustainability, however, economic sustainability. For these projects to continue, there has to be a level of economic sustainability within the community at the household, the unit level in the community. Low agricultural productivity, the conuco, is a big factor. You don't want to give too much energy for a low output. So this way, you have the raised beds. We don't have fertilizers, but we have cows. We have all these types of wonderful worm. There's a worm machine that volunteers make, and that is another wonderful opportunity. And of course, the World Bank says poverty is a predictor of malnutrition. If we can raise the level of poverty, if we can give people the economic sustainability, perhaps not only by consuming these vegetables, but they will have more money to buy foods that are more rich in vitamins and minerals to feed their families. I got the 10 minutes.
I had a
question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you also teaching like composting and all that as well?
Composting, yes. I had a composting pile, but I was gone for a while at a conference, and it was interesting. Sarah, I know, had great success with composting for her community garden. So we are trying to keep a sustainable composting to keep the fertilization going, keeping the ground fertile.
But 4 other problems my wife particularly fought against all the time. Chickens, hogs, mules, and vegetable seeds that would not germinate.
Yeah.
All these animals will let their own breed
Yes,
wherever they
most
go.
definitely. If I could grab every chicken I saw by the neck, I would do it. I would snap them in a heartbeat because they just take it. And telemetallica chicken wire is so expensive. It is not a reality. And you use rice sacks to keep so you have barbed wire and you'll have a rice sack to keep the chickens from going underneath. However, they're clever. They're clever little buggers. They find a way to get through. I don't know how, but a chicken, a brain like that, man. Economic sustainability. These are our hogares saludables groups. These are two of my hogares saludables groups. We work with the production of Mistylene, which is a floor cleaning solution, menthol, which is like Vicks paper rub, Suavitel, which is a Sarah has.
Okay, so here's our Mistylene that we make. It's a small amount of money to buy the products and a huge output. Also, menthol, it smells really delicious. You guys can check it out in the back.
I have something.
Are you selling that in the fair?
We aren't, unfortunately. Right? Yeah, why not? Logistics of getting the products.
They said that this bracelet, Cuerpo de Paz, that this is Mistylene. The thing that's, the thing that they have woven it against is from the Mistylene bottle.
Oh,
yeah, so
yeah.
there you go.
The interesting thing as well about our economic sustainability and income generation is these bottles are old soda bottles that we find. So we incorporate as well cleaning up the compost, cleaning up the bate, limpieza, cleaning it up, and then you can also sell these back. And we use them in that manner to bottle our products. Economic sustainability, this is menthol being produced. When we get these groups started, you find often that the enthusiasm is there from the beginning, but then it just starts to go away a little bit. It starts to ebb just a tiny bit. But in this way, they are making money in order to. I'm going to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to buy. I'm going to tell them when we buy snacks for the group meetings, trips for the women to have intercambios, trips and meet other groups of women to do events, artisan fairs they go to the pueblo where transportation costs wouldn't allow them to normally leave. However, in this manner, they are given that opportunity as a group. We also tie in hogares saludables with the potential of a communal bank. So they have money managing skills. They'll have a secretary, a treasurer, a president, and they learn money managing and how to work those finer details. Yeah, that's pretty much the same. I like the VAK pyramid is the visual, audio, and kinesthetic pyramid.
Kinesthetic.
Yeah, right? 90% retention of what we observe, hear, discuss, and do. These opportunities are great. If you take a look at the menthol, for example, you talk about acute respiratory infections, and you say, oh, now we're going to make menthol because when you have a cough or you have grippe or you have the flu, you'll be able to use this, and it links the product with what they have learned, and they're able to discuss when they sell their product what they have done. That dashing devil again. Community projects which have been possible only because of grants, of course, but our community economic sustainability. For example, here, wonderful volunteer Lena Burlov in Santiago was able to gather resources from her economic sustainability to provide food for 11 of the neediest families in her barrio in Santiago. Here we have two girls that live in my campo, and this girl needed an operation, and there was no funds available, no money to take her to the hospital. The women got together, they had a meeting, and they decided we are going to use a portion of our funds in order to get this girl the medical attention she needs. This is a community center which we are working on right now to get constructed to have a center for the production of these products. Right now we're doing them out of the homes. This will also be a community center which we can give our charlas in, and we can keep it as a centro de capacitación for the groups. And lastly, here is a water system that we completed in my community, and the community used their funds in order to buy the tubing to connect all of the houses to this water system so they have water right there in their happy. So there are great opportunities that these women are using their funds for, and it definitely is a boon, not only to the community but to the house, because the women are able, and the youth as well, to take responsibility. Look, I sold 10 bottles of Viscoline, and look, I contributed to this fund, and now my vecina has water. Now, because where there is no water, there isn't health. There isn't hygiene and sanitation. And that is principle. That is a principal topic when we talk about health promotion. That, I believe, is the end of my part. I believe I am way over time. But it was a pleasure. Yes, sir.
Any anti-parasitic activities?
I can speak to that. In general, okay, so that goes onto secondary projects. So where there's an interest from the volunteer, where there's a need in the community, those are generally the types of things that they will do. In my community, personally, there has been a parasite problem. Very agricultural, a lot of animals walking around, not in fences, and kids just don't wear shoes. So as a result of that, there's a lot of parasites. I solicited the Ministry of Public Health to give a few talks in the local school about parasitosis, and they actually gave me a bunch of anti-parasites, which I've been administering.
They do any? They used to do these overall big old campaigns to distribute. Do they still do that?
So, in my process of actually going to them and speaking to them about doing that, it didn't seem like it was as common anymore. Is to do those things. So I really needed to go like 3 or 4 times and get them to actually come and make that happen.
Okay.
And we do a lot. We do a lot of preventative education. So we try to make that our focus for people to not get or kids not to get sick from parasites. You know, chlorine, putting bleach in the water, drinking clean water, having sure that their kids are wearing shoes. Yeah, all of that. And a lot of the med missions that come from the states, actually, they do anti-parasite treatment for kids. Thank you so much for coming. We also want the health volunteers that are here to stand for a second.
And the former health volunteers.
I'm sure they're willing and interested in talking to you guys about their experience, because we all have very different experiences in our community, although we do share this similar goals and objectives. So.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming, guys.